Okay. Now you sound like Joe Schad. See? Now there's no hijinks in the way. So we like that. See, everybody's like better, better. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. They want to hear you, Joe. They want to hear what you got to say. All right. So your concerns going into this game.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard any of what I said a minute ago, but Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett, two of the best players in the NFL. You hear Cleveland Browns and you think, oh, well, this should be an easy week. Well, no. I mean, this team has some good talent, some three really good offensive linemen, maybe even four,
Did
depending
you
on how
switch?
you like.
Did it switch back? Yeah, something happened because it switched. You went back to low again.
I don't know, man. I'm on my phone, so
There we
there's
go.
no.
Now you're good. Now you're good. You're good. Go
Okay.
ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I was just saying that this is not a poor Cleveland Browns team. This is a team with lots of talent, especially Myles Garrett and the pass rush and Jadeveon Clowney. Those guys can get after it. And the Browns have three good, maybe even four good offensive linemen, and obviously a strong power running game with Nick Chubb. So I
Yeah.
expect this to be a highly competitive game.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't necessarily think they're going to blow them out, but I do think they'll win by a touchdown at least. I really do. I think they'll be sharper, and I think that because it's not a running quarterback, I think they'll do a better job like they have all year against the run. They struggle, and like most teams struggle against Lamar Jackson running or Justin Fields. God bless him. He had like a career like game last week. He put together a Picasso of a performance, but it's just one of those things where I expect them to be a little better because it's a traditional running game that they're facing, Joe. Right?
Yeah, we haven't talked a lot about a Landon Roberts and Jerome Baker and Duke Riley, but certainly and a little bit of Channing Tindall getting some action. But those Dolphins linebackers, the guys who occasionally do line up in the middle of the field, especially without your favorite player Brandon Jones being available. They're going to play a key role in terms of run defense, and we'd like to also see Raekwon Davis start to make a bigger impact. He's a very big man, and he's capable of doing more.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think Raekwon has had it's he's improved, but it's kind of slightly, and we haven't seen enough of those explosive plays where you just absolutely blew something up and ruined a short yardage situation or caved in a pocket or something in a key moment. We haven't seen enough of that yet from Raekwon Davis, and he's had what I consider a little too many of the injuries. In other words, he's missed a little time to it. I think a little too much too for a short career.
Yeah, I mean, injuries really affected Raekwon last year. I know at some point I think he was ill. He had maybe COVID or something, but um, yeah, I think there are a handful of Dolphins defensive players who can do more, including, of course, Emmanuel Ogba and Xavier Howard, and both of those guys are healthier. I wrote a column about that in the Palm Beach Post about how for weeks and weeks and weeks, both or at least one of those guys have been on the injured report. And listen, we love X, we love Ogba, but it's a fact that X has one pick in 12 games, and Ogba has 0 sacks in 2 months and 0 batted passes for the entire season, which is odd because he's been the best in the NFL at that for years.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the optics are going to look bad. It looked like you busted your ass for the money. You got your money, and now you're not producing, and that's happened a lot to a lot of players. You were an underachiever in your career up until you got to the Dolphins, and then you kind of found out you're at the back end here. If you don't perform, you're not going to get paid. Well, you performed. Now you got paid, and now you're coming up short. And the optics are not good for Agba too on this one, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you're a defensive end and over your right shoulder are Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb, like good things should be happening for the Dolphins. More good things, more pressures, more hurries, more sacks, more. When was the last time the Dolphins came in and stripped the ball from the quarterback? Right, like when was the last time that happened? I
I
don't
think
know.
Sealer did it, didn't he? And it wasn't a Sealer a couple weeks back.
Okay.
Was it
Did the
Lamar
Dolphins
Jackson?
recover? Did the
Was it Lamar
Dolphins recover?
Jackson?
Okay.
Did they? Yeah, I think the Dolphins did recover. Didn't wasn't a Sealer that forced a fumble and did or Phillips forced a fumble and
Okay.
Sealer recovered it.
Well, they need more of that stuff,
Or whatever.
and
Yeah, you know,
you know,
you're 1,000%
they need more of that stuff.
right.
And listen,
You're right.
starting Monday, I'm hoping to bring back the tape. Don't lie, Big O. It's been tough for me to study the film with the eye injuries, so I'm hoping starting Monday I'm going to bring that back, and I'll be able to give you a little more film study stuff.
Okay, I like that. I like that. I got into a conversation with Cam, and I'd like to get into it with you also on this. I feel not you, not anybody in the local media. Okay, this isn't a Tua thing that I can actually go after some of the guys in the media that were like, "Oh yeah, he's not good enough." In the local media, it's not happening, but I'm sure you're getting it, like I am, from the fans. People want to fire Josh Boyer, and I feel people have been absolutely unfair to Josh Boyer. I can't blame Josh Boyer that his number one corner is all injured and hasn't played well. Okay, I can't blame Josh Boyer that his number two corner is been out for the whole year. His 3 and 4 are out for the year. He's playing with 5, 6, 7, and 8. He's playing with Brandon Jones backup, which nobody can replace that guy. And then Agba, which we just talked about, and Phillips aren't rushing the passers the way they should, the way they need to. And again, not having shut down corners may also be affecting those guys at getting the passer too. So let's also be honest here. That may hurt the pass rush because of the bad corners. You could get rid of it quickly. But there's a bright spot in the secondary in Cater Kohu. Well, who found him? Josh Boyer, and he's the one that's helped develop him.
He's a good scout.
And I think he's done a good job. Even when Tua was out for 3 weeks, that defense played well, bro. They kept doing games. They gave you chances to win. And I get it. It hasn't been pretty the last couple of weeks with some of the points, but I got to also tip my hat to Justin Fields. It wasn't that there were bad play calls. I saw Dolphin players there trying to make a play, but they were there to make a play. But unfortunately, Justin Fields was just better at making them miss. And in other words, for me, I think that Josh Boyer is being treated unfairly by a lot of the fans. The media has not said anything. I haven't seen anybody write and say, "Oh, Josh."
Well, I wrote a column prior to the Steelers game saying, based on the Dolphins' early season defensive struggles, is it possible that they're missing the schematic game planning and in-game adjustments of Brian Flores? So I am kind of the only person who's written that, and now it's sort of become trendy and popular to criticize Boyer.
Yeah,
Listen,
but
Boyer.
that one also did that mean anything when they were 1-7 last year? Or you're just conveniently using it on the second half when they didn't play a lot of good quarterbacks. You know what I mean? That's that even that you threw out there, I'll slice that shit up and put all kinds of holes in it because in the first half of the season they played all the good quarterbacks and they got roasted by Brian Flores and his defense. And in the second half, sure they played better, Joe, but they played a lot of the shitty teams and
Yeah,
they
who you
beat
play
up
has
the
a lot to
schedule.
do with it, and they
Yeah,
got Jacoby
yeah.
Brissett. Listen. You got Jacoby Brissett and Davis Mills coming up.
That's right.
So let's see
But
those
Josh
teams.
Boyer thing, do you
Yeah, I
think
know. No,
are
listen,
fans
Boyer.
overcritical of him?
Well, I'm
Fans,
gonna.
not you, not me, not media, fans.
No, I mean fans are fans for a reason. They're fanatics. They get very emotional, and sometimes we do too. But listen, Josh Boyer yesterday stood 5 feet away from me and said that he needs to do a better job of putting his players in position against running quarterbacks and to have better success in getting off the field on third down. So if
Right.
Josh Boyer says, I need to do a better job, first of all, kudos to him. It's
He's gonna lay
important
on the
to do
sword.
that. It's important to do that. And second of all, he's a little defensive right now because he hears the criticism, he senses the criticism. He knows he's trying to point out some statistics that are a little bit in the Dolphins' favor because he knows that so many of the statistics are bad right now. There's no way in the world that this defense overall in general should be 23rd in total defense, 25th in scoring defense, 27th in third down defense, 29th in takeaways, and 20th in sacks. At worst, they should be a top 15 defense based on the talent. This is a very, very talented group despite the injuries. So it's a long season. It is true that the defense has pitched 2 second half shutouts in recent games. It is true that the defense has made key stops in critical moments in recent games. And we do have to point that out in addition to noting that overall the metrics have not been good.
By the way, same thing under Flores. They weren't shutting teams down. They would bend all kinds of ways and not break and make plays at the end. That's exactly what they did
It's
under.
okay to give up yards, yeah, but they need to be better on third down. They need to be better in turnover margin. It doesn't make sense that they're fifth. They're approximately fifth in blitz percentage and in the low 20s, 29th or something in sack percentage. It doesn't make sense. Or
Because
pressure
you don't have a
percentage.
secondary, my brother. Because
Well,
you
no,
have
no,
no
but
secondary. So the secondary can't hold the receivers on their initial routes. So they're finding holes quickly, and it allows the quarterbacks to get rid of them. And so they're making yards on them. So it's not like they've got two corners on each side that are stopping those guys from getting through and forcing the quarterback to go to their second, third, and fourth reads to buy time to get to them. They're finding their first reads right away, and they're burning them. And so it's hurting the pass rush not having a secondary. It kind of, that's how you built the defense. You built the defense to have two guys on an island so you can free up the strong safety and create more problems up front. And you can't do that now because you don't even have one shutdown corner. They're attacking X like they attack any corner in the on the team right now.
yeah, I mean that he's statistically one of the worst rated pass coverage in the NFL, and you have to say that the groin injuries, which have affected him week after week after week after week after week, and Sam Madison pointed out, listen, missed practice time during the season and before the season. You know, look, X knows he needs to be better, and I'm sure that he will be much better in the second half of the year, especially now that he's feeling better physically.
Well, he better because I already got a house for a week in Arizona. So, we already rented a house for a week for the Super Bowl. So you better pick that shit up. Don't laugh. You may not have a hotel. You might ask me for a room. Be careful there. Okay? So don't laugh. We might be there.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, this is an average team that really shouldn't even be 6-3. But what matters is the record, and certainly the Dolphins would sign up for 6-3. Anybody would at this point.
I know they should be 8-1 or 9-0 is really what if their quarterback wasn't out. I don't worry about the stats. I worry about what I see on the field. They make plays and they can score. Remember, that's the other thing, Joe. I think the media also needs to reprogram themselves, like I've been telling the fans. You need to reprogram yourself that this is no longer a team that's going to be bailed out by the defense. This is a team that needs to be bailed out by its offense now.
And they're probably going to have to outscore the Browns.
Yes.
And I hope it doesn't come down to a Jason Sanders kick. I hate to point out Jason Sanders.
They will have to outscore Green Bay, San
They're
Francisco,
29th.
the Bills, everybody on their schedule. They're going to have to outscore, Joe. They're not going to be shutting anybody down, my brother. They don't have the secondary to do that. They just don't.
I wanted to tell our listeners,
Yes.
to look out for a story that I'm going to post later today. I
Mhm.
interviewed 12 people about what makes Tyreek Hill unique, coaches and players and whatnot. And I think it's kind of a neat little story. And so look out for that. He's one unique cheetah. It's going to be posted on the Palm Beach Post later today.
And you are one unique writer, and we love having you on every week because you're always involved in hijinks. Thank you, sir. Be safe. We will talk to you next week, my friend.
Appreciate it, man. Be well.
Thank you. That is Joe Schad of the Palm Beach Post. The hijinks are done.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.